Welcome to Step Up English channel. In today's video, we're going to talk about something very important, how to talk about yourself in English. Whether you're introducing yourself in a job interview, meeting new people, or just trying to improve your speaking skills, this video will help you speak more clearly and confidently. I'll show you simple structures, useful examples, and easy tips you can start using right away. So if you want to sound natural and confident when talking about yourself in English, you're in the right place. Let's get started.
I am so excited to jump into this topic because honestly, introducing yourself in a new language is, well, it's terrifying for a lot of people.
Oh, absolutely. Like, you can study vocabulary for hours, but the second someone just smiles and says, "Tell me about yourself," it's like your mind just completely goes blank.
Yes, and there's actually a biological reason for that. It's not just you being forgetful.
Wait, really? There's
Yeah.
a physical reason why we forget our own names.
Yeah, exactly. When you're put on the spot socially, your brain often interprets that as a high-stakes situation. So your cortisol levels spike, your heart rate elevates, and your working memory, which is the part of your brain holding immediate information, it basically just shuts down.
Oh, wow. So it's literally a stress response, like your brain thinks it's a physical threat.
Right. And then when you add the cognitive load of trying to translate everything into a language that isn't your native tongue, that pressure is doubled. Your brain is trying to check grammar, recall vocabulary, and read the other person's facial expressions all at exactly the same time.
Which leads to the dreaded brain freeze.
Exactly. The system just overloads. But the materials we're looking at today offer a brilliant way to bypass that panic entirely. We're going to build what is called a mini script.
A mini script. Okay, I love the sound of that. So instead of trying to invent this perfect, brilliant introduction on the spot while you're stressed out, you just have a prepackaged plan.
You've got it. Because when you prepare this mini script in advance, you actually move that information out of your fragile working memory and store it in your long-term memory.
Oh, I see. So it comes automated, kind of like, riding a bike or tying your shoes.
Precisely. You completely remove the need to make real-time decisions. But before you can just launch into your script, you have to know which version of it to use. You really need to read the room.
Right, because you wouldn't talk to a hiring manager the exact same way you'd talk to someone at a coffee shop.
Exactly. Our sources divide these social interactions into three distinct zones. You have formal, semi-formal, and informal. And your greeting is basically the key that unlocks that specific room.
Okay, let's map those out. So a formal zone would be highly structured, like a corporate job interview or maybe speaking to a government official.
Yeah, high-stakes environments where predictability is actually very comforting.
Right. So for those, your greeting needs to be super safe. Just universally accepted A1 phrases like good morning, good afternoon, or good evening.
Yes, because they don't demand anything from the listener. They just establish immediate respect and show that you understand the professional rules of the room.
But then if we move into the semi-formal zone, say you're at a networking event with name tags or meeting a new colleague over coffee good afternoon, feels a bit stiff, doesn't it?
It does. It creates too much distance. It establishes a hierarchy when you really want to be building collaboration. So for semi-formal spaces, you soften it. You just say, "Hi there," or drop the good and just say, "Morning."
Oh, I like that. Morning. It lowers the barrier but keeps it polite, which leaves us with the informal zone.
Right. Parties, cafes, meeting a friend of a friend. The barrier to entry here is extremely low. A simple hi or hey is perfect.
Okay, but I want to push back on this informal setting for just a second.
Okay, go for it.
If the whole goal is to sound natural and relaxed, shouldn't I try to use, like, the language I hear native speakers use in pop culture? If I watch a ton of American TV, why shouldn't I walk into a party and just say, "Yo, what's up?"
Oh, that is such a common trap. And it comes down to this concept of linguistic dissonance.
Linguistic dissonance. Okay, wrap your head around that for me.
Well, heavy slang carries a lot of cultural weight. It implies a specific background or persona. If you don't use that same level of highly casual slang in your native language, saying yo in English is going to create this huge mismatch between your vocabulary and your actual personality.
Oh, I see. So it feels like a performance.
Exactly. The listener's brain will subtly detect that something feels forced. Your goal with these beginner structures isn't to sound like a teenager on a sitcom. The goal is to sound like you, just operating in a new language.
That is such great advice. You just want to present an authentic version of yourself. And that actually brings up a really helpful metaphor for this whole mini script process.
Oh, the movie trailer analogy?
Yes. Think about what a really good movie trailer does. It doesn't explain every single plot point, it doesn't introduce all the minor characters, and it definitely doesn't spoil the twist ending.
No, it just gives you the vibe.
Right, it gives you just enough action and atmosphere to make you want to buy a ticket. Your introduction should do the exact same thing. Give them the highlights so they want to ask a follow-up question.
I love that framework. It completely changes the goal of an introduction. You aren't summarizing your whole life. You're just establishing the main character in the setting. So let's build that main character using those foundational A1 tools.
Starting with the absolute basics. Your name.
Right. Keep it beautifully simple. I am, or my name is.
Like, I'm Sarah, or my name is Sarah. It doesn't need to be complicated. But our sources highlight a really interesting nuance for people who use nicknames.
Yes, this is a great little trick.
Say your given name is Samantha, but you feel way more comfortable being called Sam. How do you communicate that smoothly?
You use a preference modifier. The most natural phrase is, I go by. So you'd say, my name is Samantha, but I go by Sam. Or, I prefer to be called Sam.
I go by Sam. It just glides right off the tongue.
It does. And offering a nickname is actually a psychological invitation. It subtly tells the other person, hey, I'm lowering the formality here and inviting you into a closer social circle.
I love that. Okay, so our main character is established. Next, the trailer needs a setting. We need a geographic starting point so the listener can place us in the world.
Right, because humans are highly spatial creatures. We like to know where things belong. And the easiest formula for that is just city plus country.
I'm from Osaka in Japan.
Exactly. Or, I'm from Cairo in Egypt.
Mm.
It immediately paints a mental picture.
But you know, the reality of the modern world is that most of us don't stay in the exact town we were born in.
Very true.
So if I was born in one country, but I've spent the last 5 years living in a completely different city, how do I explain that without launching into some 5-minute story about moving?
The material suggests a really elegant two-part structure, using the word originally. It bridges your past and your present in just one sentence.
Oh, like, I'm originally from Poland, but I live in Berlin now.
Yes. Or, I was born in a small town in England, but now I live in Madrid. You give the listener 2 data points, and their brain just naturally fills in the journey between them.
Now, let me ask you about a massive grammatical trap that I see learners fall into right at this exact moment.
Oh, I think I know which one you're talking about.
When the other person asks, oh, how long have you lived there? The instinct is to translate directly from your native language. And it usually comes out as, I am living here since 3 years.
Yes, since 3 years. It's everywhere.
Right. And if we want to be strictly grammatically correct in English, they technically need to use the present perfect continuous, right? I have been living here for 3 years.
Technically, yes. Duration requires the present perfect continuous. But this raises a really critical point about cognitive load. For a beginner, trying to pull I have been living out of your brain while smiling and making eye contact is incredibly demanding.
It's the perfect recipe for a brain freeze.
Exactly.
So what's the alternative? Do we just risk making the grammatical error?
The alternative is to recognize that the listener is not a walking grammar checker. They aren't grading you. They just want a connection. So if I had been living feels too heavy, just drop the duration entirely.
Wait, really? Just don't say the time part?
Yeah, just stick to the simple A1 structure. I'm originally from Poland, but I live in Berlin now. That gives them the anchor. You do not have to prove your English proficiency by using complex verb tenses in the first 30 seconds of a conversation.
Connection over perfection. That is such a great rule to live by. Okay, so we've broken the ice, we've established our name, we're on the map. The next natural step is figuring out how you fit into the tribe, which usually leads to the classic question, what do you do?
And here is where people often overcomplicate their mini-script again. They try to explain all the intricate mechanics of their daily tasks.
Yes. I call this the broad strokes rule. If I meet someone at a party and I tell them, I am a level 3 supply chain logistics coordinator for a mid-tier retail distributor, I've essentially just killed the conversation.
Their eyes will completely glaze over.
Right. The other person has no idea what that means, and suddenly they just feel awkward.
Exactly. You gave them way too much detail for a movie trailer. The beginner structures are perfectly suited for the broad strokes rule. You just use, I work as a souk, or I work in.
Like I work as a nurse, or I work in marketing.
Yes. You just give them the industry. That leaves room for them to say, oh, marketing. What kind of marketing?
It invites the follow-up. And for students, it's the exact same logic, isn't it?
Totally. You don't need to list your specific minor or your thesis topic. Just say, I'm a student. I study computer science, or I study art. It's a clear, easy category.
But, eventually the conversation has to move past work because we are so much more than just our jobs. And honestly, sometimes work is a dead end socially.
It really can be. If you're in marketing and they're in healthcare, you might run out of professional ground to share pretty quickly.
So to prevent the conversation from totally stalling, we have to pivot to something universally relatable, like our inner circle or our family.
Family is a very safe, universal topic. But this is another area where learners hit a very specific translation snag.
Oh, the family size translation.
Yes, when describing the size of their family, the immediate instinct is often to translate literally, which comes out as, we are 5 in our family.
We are 5.
Right. And it makes complete logical sense. In a lot of Romance and Germanic languages, that is the exact structure you use.
It is. But in English, it sounds just slightly unnatural because it describes a state of being rather than a unit. The native-sounding phrase you want to wire into your mini-script is, I'm from a family of 5.
I'm from a family of 5. Yeah, it frames the family as a group that you belong to. And if you want to be more specific, you just list the siblings, like, I have one older brother, or I'm an only child.
You could also talk about your living situation. That adds a nice little layer of daily reality. I live with my parents, I share an apartment with a friend, or I live alone. These are simple facts, but they really start to paint a three-dimensional picture.
But facts alone don't really make you memorable, do they? Like, a map and a job title make you safe, but vulnerability makes you human.
That's beautifully put.
If you want to spark a real connection, you have to add some color. You have to talk about your personality.
And moving into hobbies is how you signal what you value. Most beginners learn the structure I like very early on. I like reading, I like sports. It's highly functional. But if you want to sound just a bit more expressive, the sources recommend shifting to phrases like, I'm a big fan of, or in my free time,
I'm a big fan of comedy movies. It just has so much more energy than I like movies.
It really does. But here is a piece of advice from the material that I found genuinely brilliant. If you want to show real personality and create psychological safety, you shouldn't just list things you love. You should actually share a mild dislike.
Okay, wait. A mild dislike. Why would I want to complain to someone I just met?
Well, the psychology behind it is fascinating. When you only share positive things, you can actually come across as overly polished, almost like a corporate brochure.
Oh, right. Like you're too perfect.
Exactly. Sharing a mild dislike shows a boundary. It makes you feel authentic. And more importantly, it invites the other person to agree with you. Commiseration is a very powerful bonding tool.
So let me test this out. I want to pair a positive with a negative. I could say, I love trying new coffee shops, but I really dislike systemic economic injustice.
Oh, wow. Okay, you wouldn't be wrong, but that is way too heavy for an introduction.
Too intense for the party.
Definitely. The key word here is mild. Keep the social stakes low. You're looking for a relatable annoyance, not a philosophical debate.
Okay, fair enough.
A better example would be, I love pasta, but I don't like waking up early. Or, I'm a big fan of dogs, but I really don't like waiting in long lines.
Oh, that makes perfect sense. I don't like waiting in long lines. That is universally understood. The other person can just immediately say, me neither, and suddenly you're on the same team. You've bonded over a shared human experience.
Exactly. It completely humanizes you. It moves the interaction away from just exchanging data and turns it into an actual relationship.
Okay, speaking of humanizing moments, we absolutely have to talk about the most terrifying part of introducing yourself in any group setting.
Oh, I know what's coming.
The dreaded fun fact ambush.
Yes.
You're in a classroom or a team building meeting, and the leader says, let's go around the room, introduce yourself, and share a fun fact. And suddenly, every interesting thing you have ever done in your entire life just vanishes from your brain.
It's the worst. That's called the spotlight effect, combined with that cortisol spike we talked about earlier. The pressure to be spontaneously interesting is just overwhelming. And this is exactly why the concept of the pre-planned mini-script is so vital. You must preload your fun fact.
You just have to keep one in your back pocket at all times. And, it doesn't need to be a spectacular achievement. You don't need to have climbed Mount Everest.
Not at all.
A fun fact can just be a quirky habit or a minor fear or a detail about a pet. Like, my fun fact is that I have a cat named Luna who sleeps 20 hours a day.
Yeah.
It's light, it takes 3 seconds to say, and it completely diffuses the tension in the room.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It satisfies the requirement without putting undue stress on your cognitive load. So if we look at all the components we've gathered today, we know how to read the room for the right greeting, we have our name and our geographic anchor, we have our broad strokes job description, a detail about our family, and a bit of color through a hobby and a mild dislike.
We have all the puzzle pieces. But the final challenge is delivery.
Yes.
Because if you just read those sentences sequentially, it sounds like a telegraph.
Yeah.
My name is Anna. I am 25. I am a student. I am from Poland. Stop. Start. 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 It sounds totally robotic.
And that happens because beginners often focus on just one grammatical unit at a time. To make the script sound natural, you have to focus on syntactical flow.
Yeah.
You connect those choppy pieces into a single rolling sentence.
We're right, linking them together.
Exactly. Instead of 4 separate stops, you link them like, "Hi, I'm Anna. I'm a 25-year-old student originally from Poland."
The rhythm changes completely. It sounds incredibly fluent, even though the vocabulary itself is still strictly A1 level. It's all about how you package the information. And a huge part of that packaging isn't even verbal, is it? It's physical.
Oh, absolutely. Your nonverbal cues often speak way louder than your grammar. If your shoulders are tense and pulled up by your ears, or your arms are tightly crossed over your chest and your eyes are darting toward the floor.
You're basically sending a giant signal that you want to escape.
Right. And the listener will feel that discomfort, and they'll naturally want to end the conversation just to relieve your stress.
So you have to manually override that physical stress response. Like, even if
Yeah.
you are panicking on the inside, you have to consciously drop your shoulders, uncross your arms to open up your chest, unclench your jaw.
Yes. If you project physical openness, the other person will feel relaxed around you, regardless of whether you miss a vocabulary word here or there.
But that brings up the ultimate fear for anyone learning a language. What happens if you do everything right? You prepare the script, you open your body language, but right in the middle of a sentence, your mind goes completely blank, or you realize you used the wrong verb tense.
The instinct is usually to apologize profusely and just panic.
Right, to just shut down.
But the reality is, the person listening does not care about the verb tense. They aren't grading you. They are just a person trying to get to know another person. Mistakes are an inherent part of the friction of learning. However, if you feel the panic rising and you just need an escape hatch, there is one incredibly simple phrase you can use to save yourself.
Oh, the emergency ripcord, what is it?
You just shift the spotlight. You simply ask, "And you?"
Oh, that is brilliant. You just throw the ball right back over the net.
Exactly. If you get stuck after saying where you are from, just stop, smile, and say, "And you?" Where are you from? Or what do you like to do in your free time? The pressure is instantly removed from your shoulders.
The other person begins talking, and your brain finally has a moment to clear the cortisol and reset.
It is the perfect conversational safety net. So, when we put this all together, your custom mini-script might only take 15 seconds to say. It sounds something like, "Hi there, I'm Sarah. I'm originally from Mexico, but I live in Madrid now. I work in marketing. In my free time, I'm a big fan of reading, but I really don't like waking up early. What about you?"
It is a masterpiece of efficiency. It offers the greeting, the anchor, the tribe, the vulnerability, and the invitation to connect. And because it relies entirely on accessible A1 and A2 structures, your brain can easily retrieve it even under pressure.
Exactly. It's about taking control of the narrative.
So your mission for today is clear. Take 10 minutes, sit down, and write out your own mini-script using these exact broad strokes. Practice linking the sentences together. Say it out loud until it moves out of your working memory and into your long-term memory. Once you have this mental architecture in place, you'll never have to fear the phrase, "Tell me about yourself" again.
That's right. But before we finish our analysis of these materials, I want to leave you with a slightly deeper psychological question to consider.
Oh, I am ready. Lay it on me.
When you sit down to write this English mini-script, pay close attention to the specific facts you choose to highlight. Do you find yourself emphasizing different hobbies or maybe a different mild dislike than you would if you were introducing yourself in your native language?
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, because many researchers believe that speaking a new language doesn't just change your vocabulary. It actually gives you the psychological permission to introduce a slightly different, perhaps more confident version of who you are.
A new language giving you access to a new version of yourself. Wow. That is a profound idea to carry with you. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. Don't just think about your mini-script today. Write it out, read it out loud, and step into that new version of you.